So just to go over our residential listing agreement, quick brief for sellers that are working with me, Tobias McLeod. So here's a quick breakdown on the listing contract. The first part is disclosure regarding real estate agency. So this means that I would be your seller's agent, and then I could potentially work as a buyer's agent or a dual agent, all for one transaction. And we'll talk about that as we discuss what our relationship is as we move forward for the sale of your home, looking for, of course, the highest and best price. So this again goes over our agency relationship, all the codes that break down for California, and an example. And then here we have our residential listing agreement. This is the negotiable part of the listing agreement, where it talks about all the details and what I can provide and how long how long the listing will go, what price you're going to list your home at, property specifics of the listing, what compensation for the seller's broker will be, any additional compensation if the buyer is not represented. Again, this is not dual agency. Continuation of the right for compensation and identified prospective buyers. So this again is within a 30-day period. If I showed a buyer this property and they came through an open house and they end up purchasing it, even after we expire for 20 or 30 days, then we would again go ahead and move forward with that transaction and represent you to finalize the sale. We have some other items in here, included items. This could be information like getting the inspections done. MLS is the multiple listing service and marketing it to the public. We have the timing and presentation of offers. It's always good to do offers as we receive them, or if we put a due date on them. Sometimes it can entice buyers to put their offer sooner. Investigation reports, as mentioned earlier, these are things that I tend to pay for clients that pay the compensation that it takes to be able to get this stuff done all up front and manage those quickly and in a timely manner. We have if this is a regular sale, or if this is a trust sale or a probate sale or REO advisory listing, we have to notate that here, and that adds other advisories and addendums. The broker compensation we'll see later. Again, compensation is always negotiable. You're paying me for the fees compensation to sell your home at the highest and best price in the market in which we go to market, in which we enter. Additional compensation terms. All right, we talk about these: recovery damages, escrow instructions, seller compensation obligation to other brokers. Does you need to give notice? Seller represents, meaning you say this is what it is, it's true. Presentation of offers. Again, there's ways that we can do that. Advisory regarding buyer letters. Again, we recommend we don't. Again, disclosure for the agency relationship. Seller concessions. Ownership and use of images. Third-party use. Digitally altered images. Safe key lockbox. Again, you can go through this line by line, but it's really just making sure we go over all the details of the sale of your home. So we have attorney fees, any action, proceeding, arbitration between seller and broker arising from this agreement. Seller shall be responsible for paying their own attorney's fees and costs except for as provided in paragraph 19A. So again, this is mediation. This is only if you are a LLC, corporation, trust, or probate estate, partnership, holding power of attorney, or other entity. If not, you're just going to sign as the seller. There's an advisory about the multiple listing service. Tells you about how we market the property, what it is. Seller instruction to brokers. So this is the things that you can opt into, opt out of. And we'll go over that in details. Broker compensation. Again, this talks about the negotiable aspects of the compensation. I charge what I charge to each seller based on what I'm providing them and the time and effort that I'm going to be putting in, and as well as bringing the expertise and experience. So we have questions. We want to discuss that. That is a negotiation, but I charge what I charge for the value that I bring. Optional addition, a compensation of buyers unrepresented. So again, these goes over the details that are listed there. When a listing broker representing buyers agree to pay the buyer's broker when escrow closes, but a person responsible for payment must be negotiated in the transaction. So that's kind of a newer thing. It's not just set up front. Possible representation of one or more than one buyer or seller. This is the idea that Intero is a huge company, and we could have someone in our brokerage that is representing a buyer for your home. And then we have our fair housing and discrimination advisory. We can't discriminate in any way against anybody looking at the home. And here's all the reasons, the laws. And then we have our seller's advisory. It's your duties. Your duties by law, your legal requirements, taxes, all the other programs and disclosures that you're required to make. Talks about post-sale protections. And here we have our Consumer Privacy Act, meaning we're going to take care of your information. We're not selling it to any third parties, etc. So that is the contract in quick sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. And there are further disclosures after we sign the listing agreement that we'll go over and review as we get to that. But I think the biggest things are in these 21 pages. Thank you.